Hello, friends. I don't know if this was Bell K's intention or not, but listening to myself back criticizing someone else for screaming at someone, it feels wrong. It feels wrong. When I hear it, it feels wrong. When I say it, it feels so right. When I hear it, it feels wrong. Hello, friends. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WT. And good afternoon. May I be the first to say, I hope. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe somebody slipped in there in the 7 minutes since it's been afternoon, but one way or the other, good afternoon to you. I hope everybody's doing well on this Thursday, October 24. We're having a good time. Hello, Bell.
We are. We're having a really good time.
You doing all right?
Yesterday, after I mixed that together, I sent it to a friend of mine and with a note that said, "Don't ever criticize your host. They'll make you relive it."
That's true.
Or criticize your producer. They'll make you relive it.
Oh, that's true. You know, I expect it on a promo or whatnot, but one way or the other, Bell, you'll get yelled at and you'll like it. That's part of the job description.
As long as the check don't bounce.
There's the Bell K. He's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible. You will not see him on Super Talk TV, which is why we refer to him as Headless Bell. You will, on occasion, see Ken Weaver. He's back in the newsroom gathering headlines as we speak after a stellar award-winning newscast just moments ago.
Was it?
Well, I thought it was.
My mom says it was.
Yeah, she's a good judge of character.
She said, good cast, son.
Can we spend a moment at the beginning of the show without, I understand there's a lot of things going on in the political world. I understand there's a lot of things going on outside of politics. But can we spend a moment to say goodbye to an old friend?
Yes, sir.
And that old friend is Kmart.
Yeah, Kmart's, they're done.
They're officially over?
I missed it when it was a few days ago.
Yeah.
The last full-size store in the continental United States of America, the last full-sized Kmart, has now closed. The Bridgehampton, New York store, about 95 miles east of Manhattan, closed its doors for the final time Sunday night, leaving only one smaller store with a limited selection left in operation in Miami. The company has stores in Guam and the U.S. Virgin Islands. I mean, what do you think they're selling in Guam?
If you're in Guam, man, you're big time.
I mean, what do we got going on in Guam?
Oh.
How did the Guam, that smacks of, hey, what does Guam have? Well, we got a Kmart, and that's about it.
Well, the Kmart wasn't actually for the residents. It was meant to wait the other side of the island so it didn't tip over.
Well, that's right. According to, what was his name?
That's Hank Johnson.
Hank Johnson over in Georgia. That island's going to tip over. You put all that military on it.
That's going to capsize.
But did you guys ever visit the old Kmart back in the day? Did y'all have Kmart?
Oh, yeah, man.
You're looking at two men from the South.
I mean, let me tell you something. It was a big deal, and I begged my grandma to let me eat. I think we've talked about this. They had the slushies.
Yeah.
With the dog with icy, I guess, or
Slush puppy.
It was slush puppy. That's what it was.
Slush puppy.
Yeah, they had the slush puppies, and I would get a slush puppy every once in a while, but I wanted to sit down. I thought that little restaurant that they had in the corner of Kmart was the height of culinary cuisine.
Weren't they the first big box store to have a place where you could eat?
I want to say so. Sure. I mean, I don't know if that's the case, but yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They didn't want you, Ken Weaver, they didn't want you to leave Kmart to go get something to eat because you might not come back. They wanted you to eat right there so you keep shopping.
Yes.
I mean, God forbid hunger get in your way of buying those blue light specials. And the blue light special, I thought that was when I was a kid, I thought it was such a big deal. I mean, such a big deal. I didn't know what was going on, but there's a blue light happening, and they're making an announcement over the intercom, and I felt like, man, oh, man, we're getting something that nobody else has.
Yeah, remember the blue light would go off?
Oh, yes. And you didn't know what it was going to be, where it was going to be.
Right.
But then suddenly there's a blue light special on aisle 14. We got to get over there and see what's going on.
People pushing each other.
I need to apologize because I think I may have had a large impact on this happening because as a preteen, I had a tendency to go into the Kmart in Hendersonville and regularly shoplift fishing lures.
What? By the way, before I ask this question, I'm going to officially announce to the audience, everyone, I'm going to regret asking this question.
Yes, you are.
Why fishing lures?
Because I like to fish, and I couldn't afford the I ones that I wanted. I was like 11 or 12 years old.
You were like the fish. They were bright and shiny. You couldn't help yourself.
And I walked out of that Kmart with many a fishing lure that was not paid for.
Did I ever tell you about the time I peed on Superman in the convenience store, in the department store?
No.
They get mad?
So
I was all right with it.
this was in Harper's, which was a little 5 and dime store in my hometown of Thompson, Georgia, THOMSON, no P in Thompson. And my grandmother would regularly go to Harper's and knew the folks in Harper's, and I would go to the toy aisle and regularly beg for toys, and she would regularly tell me no. And I don't know that I remember this. I remember my grandmother telling me about it, but her version of this, it was the last time she whipped me. It was
She used a switch?
No, she used her hand right in the middle of Harper's. I mean, just wore me out because I don't know why I did this. I don't have a memory of it. I don't know what was going on, but I was probably 6, and I was begging her for a Superman, like one of the dolls, and she wouldn't give me a Superman, and so she says that she lost sight of me, and she was talking to a woman at the front counter, and she went to find me, and she walked back on the toy aisle, and I was peeing on Superman. So
if I can't have you, nobody else.
I would like to believe that I was marking my territory, or that I was saying, "Look, if I can't have Superman, well then piss on him."
Yeah,
that's what I felt like I was doing. I don't know if that's what I was doing or not, but that's a true story. And my grandmother wore me out in the middle of that store. I was wailing. Ah!
Yeah,
I remember that beating.
I used to see that in stores all the time as a kid in Marshall, Texas. Other kids getting whooped right there in the store aisle.
Oh, man.
I'll never forget one kid actually had his pants pulled down, and then his mama whipped him. Whew. Man, I behaved in the store.
I was about to say, that was back in the day where you understood you had to act right or what you were going to get.
Yeah, there were no timeouts.
No.
There were no, well, kind of tell me how you're feeling.
Right.
Tell me how this feels, son.
Can we talk this out, son?
Use your words.
Yeah, whatever. And now we live in a world where if that happened in a store, the parent would probably get arrested.
Oh, easily.
You know they would, dude.
Oh, man. No, we need to go back to more whoopings in the department stores and the grocery stores. I think life would be better. No, you cannot have Cocoa Puffs. You will have Frosted Flakes, and you will like it. Otherwise, you'll get a whooping. Anyway, it was a sad day last Sunday. Bridgehampton store closed, and guess what comes in to replace it? What? Target. Stupid Target.
Well, do we have an over-under on when the death knell of Sears is going to occur?
Well, I mean, Sears bought Kmart, right? And I did not know this until I saw this article. Kmart merged with Sears. I guess they merged. They didn't technically buy them out. In 2005, in a deal, according to CEO Eddie Lampert, that was designed to combine the companies so that they would stop falling behind as the e-commerce market grew. Well, it didn't work. At its peak, Kmart had over 2,000 locations in the United States. I remember when it was Kmart and then Walmart came in, and Walmart was the fancy place. Like Kmart was for us common folk.
Oh, yeah.
And Walmart was fancy. And now Walmart's the crap store, and Target is fancy.
Yeah.
Interesting how the world works. Anyway, R.I.P. Kmart. We loved you, and we'll miss you.
Did they ever have a Christmas catalog? I don't remember Kmart having a Christmas catalog.
I don't either. Sears did.
Kmart was way big on layaway for Christmas presents.
That's right. Yeah. That is exactly. I remember the layaway department in Kmart. My mama was in the layaway department in Kmart once or twice. I remember that when I was a kid. You're right. Yeah, that wasn't that kind of a first of its kind. I want to say that too, and I could be completely wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Talking about layaway?
Yeah, hey, we'll pull this aside. We'll keep it in the back room. You got your name on it, and you pay us 20% down, and then you pay along, and when you pay it off, you can have it.
That was actually a very common thing amongst general stores and mom and pops and things like that. But they were the first large chain to really implement it with any success.
Well, I'll be.
That's pretty cool. And we're getting a lot of Woolworths, Ken Weaver.
That's right, Woolworths.
Woolworths had the diner. That's true. Way back in the day.
They may have been the first to do that.
Yeah, I think so. I remember because in Birmingham, Alabama, there was a big deal that they pulled out a section of diner that they found after years and years and years that was originally a part of the Woolworths when there were, it was segregated and they had sit-ins and whatnot back in the 1960s. Mm-hmm. Pretty big deal in Birmingham. Anyway, RIP Kmart, we miss you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so this Thursday edition, obviously we're getting into Kamala Harris from last evening. If you missed it, don't worry. I've got it all for you. I cannot express this enough, and I don't know exactly how to say it in a way that seems genuine and sincere, but I promise you what I'm saying to you Democrats that are listening right now, you liberals that are listening, and I know you're out there. This is genuine. This is sincere. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. She's just awful at this. It does not matter your politics. She's just a horrible politician. She's a disingenuous person. Say what you will about the policies and the politics and the ideology of someone like Barack Obama. Barack Obama was an academic, right? Barack Obama was one of these pointy-headed liberals that sat in academia and talked in theory about how things ought to be. And obviously, in reality, things were never going to be that way. Socialism sounds like a wonderful proposal in academia because the way things ought to be is people ought to do this and ought to do that. And nobody's really bad. All people strive to be good. I mean, all of those things. So Barack Obama comes out of that and turns his attention to politics, and he's got just enough of an ego and plenty of charisma that he parlays that into the presidency, to the White House. Even as much as I disagreed with his politics, even as much as I fought against his presidency and his candidacy in 2008, I understood his popularity. He was different. He was fresh. He seemed authentic. I don't know how authentic Barack Obama is or was, but he seemed. Now, have you seen him lately? Now Barack Obama seems old. I mean, that guy that I saw on stage, he seems old.
He's almost totally gray now, too.
I mean, he's approaching James Carville in terms of skinniness and skeleton-like features. And, yeah, I mean, he just seems old. So I understood the popularity of Barack Obama. And I also understand how, if you are of a certain political ideology, it becomes a team sport. And you don't want to admit that you – let me give you an example that I think most of us in Nashville, Tennessee, that are football fans can understand. I want Will Levis to be a good quarterback. I do. I hope that Will Levis will one day be a good quarterback. But as a fan of the Tennessee Titans, from 2021 till right now, this moment, at 12:19, I'm here to tell you Will Levis is not a good quarterback in the NFL. I want him to be. I want my team to do better. I want my team to win. But I don't think my team's going to win with Will Levis behind center. Do you? Now parlay those exact circumstances into the Democrat Party. I'm certain that these Democrats want their team to win. I'm certain that these Democrats believe in their own individual philosophies or ideologies, as wrong-headed as it might be, and as foolish as I think they are. You selected a bad quarterback. And oh, by the way, she was a backup. This wasn't even your quarterback. Your quarterback was too old and infirm in order to get the job done. And so you benched him and brought in the backup, and now you're stuck with the backup for the rest of the season. And guess what, Democrats? You're going to lose. At least unless something dramatic happens over the last 12 days. When your closing argument is pointing a finger and calling the other guy Hitler, and that we never called him Hitler. Nobody ever said that. Shut up. Everybody knows what you're trying to do. He's a fascist. I don't even know what that means. Which leads me to point two. Last night on CNN, the incoherent ramblings of this backup quarterback were laid bare in a town hall with Anderson Cooper. And this backup quarterback keeps chunking Hail Marys, hoping that one of them hits. And they just don't. Running stock plays that have never worked. Going back to way back in the old day playbook and trying to figure out if the triple option or the wishbone's going to be your best play, to complete the analogy. And none of it works. So why not hearken back to the old school playbook of the Democrat Party and pull out the old, he's a fascist, he's Adolf Hitler, which is what they do. Now, friends, I'm not here to beat a dead horse necessarily, although I would suggest beating a dead horse is more fun than you think. But I get it. I've been there. I thought Mitt Romney was a dud. I thought John McCain was a dud. I disliked the selection of John McCain for the Republicans so much that I was on record, I'm well on record, as objecting to the selection, objecting to his candidacy, and I didn't vote for him. I voted for, not Bob, I always get him confused now since Bob Barr came along. Bob Barr was the attorney general, right? Bill Barr was the guy that ran as a libertarian from Georgia in 2008. I voted for Bill Barr. Oh, I held my nose in 2012, though. I held my nose like so many Democrats are holding their nose right now. I didn't want to, but I went to the polls and I voted for Mitt Romney in 2012. And I actually had hope that most people would see through Barack Obama's dog and pony show. They didn't, because Mitt Romney was not a good candidate. Mitt Romney was not a true conservative. Mitt Romney was a squishy establishment D.C. Republican. And a lot of people that go to Walmart, a lot of people that live in Tennessee and the surrounding states saw that, and they just decided to stay home. They didn't vote for Barack Obama, but they sure as hell weren't voting for Mitt Romney. So I get it. Democrats, just understand the next 12 days are not going to be pleasant for you because you have a candidate that cannot make up the ground that she needs to make up in those 12 days. She's just not ready for prime time. Am I confident in a victory? I hesitate to say yes, but it's true. I am. Statman says we're wrong that Bill Barr was the AG, that Bob Barr was the other guy. I think that's right. Bob Barr was the other guy. Bill Barr was the AG. One way or the other, they're both Bars, and, they're both dead to me. It's 24 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. Efficient heating and cooling is on my mind because the cool conditions are coming. I know that we are experiencing right now an extended batch of heat in our area, which means that you might be running the AC in the afternoons. And, occasionally on these cool, crisp mornings, you turn on the heat. That's putting strain on your unit. If you've not maintained the unit, you need to do that. You don't want to smell that smell. And Jeff Eddy is here for it. He's ready for you. He's ready to help extend the life of that unit. And I want to talk about that for a moment because it's so important. To extend the life of your unit could save you. I mean, if you think about heating and air conditioning unit costing in the thousands of dollars, and you have a life cycle of whatever it is, 12 to 15 years or maybe a little bit longer. If you extend the life of that unit by regular maintenance and by getting somebody like Jeff Eddy to make sure that he understands your unit and gets it fixed in tip-top condition, you could extend by 2, 3, 4 years. That's saving you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on the back end. Efficient heating and cooling. When it comes time now, they're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, and they would love to talk to you about your options there. But for the time being, let's get that thing maintenance. Let's call Jeff Eddy. If your heater's not ready, call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. EfficientHVAC.net or call 615-784-4424, 784-4424. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Tennessee Men's Clinic. I talked specifically to you fellas, but for you ladies in the listening audience, I want you to listen to this as well. Because if you notice that this might be happening to your man, I would encourage you to encourage him to make a call to the Tennessee Men's Clinic and schedule an appointment. Have you lost a sense of intimacy? Have you lost that part of your relationship to a certain degree? Do you know that there are factors going on inside of your guy's body or inside of your body, men, that can be impacting that, T levels and the like? Did you know also that there is a company, Tennessee Men's Clinic, that is ready, willing, and able to help you solve those issues and get back to your normal life, to get back to that level of intimacy that you've so enjoyed for so many years with your significant other? It's time to get back to life, men, with Tennessee Men's Clinic. Call Tennessee Men's Clinic today or go by their website at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. That's TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Or give a call at 615-208-9090. 2 locations, one's in Franklin, the other in Cool Springs. Great people, great service, and great results with Tennessee Men's Clinic.
At least 2 people dead in a crash. It's got a highway shut down about 75 miles southeast of Nashville. I'll give you the details at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you much, Ken Weaver. It is 29 minutes after the hour. I've run late again already today. My bad. Thursday edition in progress. Senator Jack Johnson is along in just a moment. By the way, is Jack in the room over there? Is Jack in the room?
No, he had to do something before the show.
No, it's all good. So because I wanted to talk to you about what I'm going to do to Jack. Can I tell you what I'm going to do to Jack in a minute?
Please do.
His barbecue and boots and thing in Franklin, that annual event that he does was last weekend.
Right.
And he didn't invite me. And so I'm just gonna go hard in him.
I don't blame you, because I sort of, for a second, I'm like, man, I don't know if I would go, but it'd be nice to be invited.
It would be nice to be invited, right? I mean, that's what I thought too.
But he's probably looking at it like, I got Marsha Blackburn at this thing. I don't need this.
That's exactly
these losers hanging out here.
Oh no, he had the redheaded stranger was over there.
Oh, why wouldn't she be?
Why wouldn't she be? She got the invite.
We got passed over for a friggin' ginger.
That's what I'm talking about. So, I mean, hard on Jack Johnson coming up in just a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Plus, we'll talk about the election and the rumor that's going on. And I was just communicating with somebody about this. The rumor that the fix is in with local television channels running crawls with already prepackaged election results in the crawls. Have you seen this about Fox 17? We'll talk about it in a moment. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now, 75 miles southeast of Nashville, authorities have closed Highway 70 just west of McMinnville, where 2 people died in a crash this morning. Happened at 7 o'clock in Centertown. The Tennessee Highway Patrol reported multiple people were killed in this crash. Agents with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation have been called to the scene to assist with the investigation. Motorists are asked to seek an alternate route for the time being. Here in Nashville, 14 new road projects are about to start across the city. NDOT says its goal is to make these neighborhoods safer, a better experience for motorists and pedestrians. This will be the first round of what the department calls tactical urbanism projects that will include redesigned roads, changes to sidewalks, crosswalks, and in some cases, so-called traffic calming measures. By the way, TDOT says it's going to close the East Loop downtown this weekend. That's going to be from the I-65 split north to the I-40 merge on I-24 westbound. The closure starts Friday night at 8 for resurfacing and repairing bridge expansion joints. All traffic will be detoured to the West Loop starting at 8 o'clock Friday night. That'll last until Monday morning when everything returns to normal at 5 o'clock. And the company that owns both the WWE and UFC is buying PBR. And that doesn't stand for Wild at Heart's Frank Booth's favorite brew. Here's Sherry Preston.
What happens when you combine this
man, Triple H,
with this?
The #1 man coming in gets rocked
It's kind of a marriage made in action sports heaven. TKO, parent company for both WWE and UFC, is acquiring Endeavor Group, owner of Professional Bull Riders, in a deal worth more than $3 billion. Also included in the package, On Location, a premium fan experience at sporting events, and IMG, which distributes sports content and provides event management.
That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
You know, I talk to Mark at Nashville Safe House all the time, and he reminds me of how many safes they have in stock and everything they've got to offer the people of Tennessee and the surrounding states. Really, people come from all around the Southeast to get to Nashville Safe House. It's that special, and we have it right here in our own backyard. Now, when I say special, here's the deal. Normally, when you buy a safe from a company, even if they're a safe specialty company, they have 20 or 30 in stock, and then they can order you what you want if they don't have what you want. Mark doesn't believe in that way of doing business. Mark has 200 safes on his showroom floor. Oh, that's not all. He has, at times, up to 400 safes in his warehouse ready to go. And these are all shapes, all sizes, all brands, Browning and Liberty and Fort Knox and Rhino. I mean, they've got them all at Nashville Safe House. Plus, they have the biometric safes for your bedside. They've got vault doors if you're looking for that. If you need a corporate safe, they've got that. They even have tornado shelters. This is what they do. And their professional delivery crew will deliver your safe safe and sound, and they know who these people are. These are not third-party individuals that they don't know who they are, and they hire them out just to deliver your safe. That's the way they do it at Nashville Safe House. Go see Mark and his team. I'm trying to become Employee of the Year, and I have to beat out Joe Biden for that honor. Because Joe Biden sells more safes than anybody because of the crime rates in the city. It's Nashville Safe House across the street from City Cemetery on 4th Avenue South. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and you, 1238. Bell K reminds me that I have failed in my duties at the beginning of the show. It's Locks for Trump Day 236. For 236 full days, I've been growing out my hair in anticipation of a new president-elect. And yes, I started this long before Joe Biden decided to drop out of the race. It's also day 679 of our visits here together on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We've got 12 days before the election. You can view the show on Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I would encourage you to do that right now because we have a very special guest that's prettier than me. More on him in a moment. But episode 679 is entitled Bell K.
This isn't as much a title as it is just a direct statement to you. Matt Murphy, I am wearing the same clothes as yesterday, and you didn't even notice.
Are you?
Yes.
Have you not slept?
Yeah, I slept.
Did you wash them between yesterday and today?
No, I didn't go home.
Huh. I like this new bell. I like this new bell.
Well, I went home actually, but I didn't have time.
I like this new bell. I know. I'm not going to inquire because we have a very special guest.
Yeah, you and I will talk about it.
We've got more important things to do, but I like this new bell. I like this bell that actually has a life outside of the office with a special someone, I would expect. Mm-hmm. And I also like this new bell because I get to explore this conversation and make you more and more and more uncomfortable as the exploration goes on.
We've got the Senate Majority Leader.
We do. We have the Senate Majority Leader and the Tennessee
I think that's going to be more pressing than you busting my butt.
A man who I looked at a moment ago because this is how out. Hello, Jack. Jack Johnson is in with us. Hey, Jack.
Hello, Matt. Good to be with you. Were y'all talking? I was paying no attention.
You were doing some other things. I love the relationship that you and I have forged together over these 3 years. Almost 3 years now I've been in Tennessee. In that Jack and I scheduled him coming in, and I knew that there was a reason. Outside of talking politics and talking the presidential election and all of those things, which we will discuss. And I looked at Jack and I said, why are you here?
I was in the neighborhood.
Jack's house. I was just around. Want to see how long your hair was growing.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. But there is a very important reason that you are here, and it involves the state of Tennessee and really by extension the United States of America. And I want to get into that. But before I do, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. Obviously, a lot of attention. We're all very intently focused on 12 days from now, and rightfully so. The presidential election, United States Senate is at stake, the U.S. House of Representatives, and, oh, by the way, we have some state legislative races as well that we're watching very closely.
Are any of them competitive?
So on the Senate side, we feel very good. We are challenging Heidi Campbell with Wyatt Rampey.
I had Wyatt Rampey on yesterday.
I heard a portion of that. Wyatt is a great guy, outstanding candidate. So that's a race where we're playing offense, if you will. We do have some of our incumbents that have Democratic challengers, but we feel really good about them. So we will see. And then on the House side, State House side, there are some races that are pretty close, but.
I always have to remind myself, even in the 3 years that I've been here, that the House races happen every 2 years in the state of Tennessee, which seems like a lot.
Yeah,
but I mean, I guess
never stop running.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is a mirror reflection of the United States of America. Right. So I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, it's a nonstop cycle for those guys over there.
And Senate, our terms are 4 years. U.S. Senate are 6 years, but so we get a little bit of a break in between.
A little half and half.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. So what have you been doing lately? Bell K and I were talking about our weekend last weekend. Did you have a good weekend last weekend, Jack?
I did. I had a great weekend.
Did you now? What did you do? What'd you do?
Well, gee whiz. Let's see. Watch some football.
That's always a winner.
That's always fun, right there.
And, and I had 500 or 600 of my closest friends over for an event.
Whoa!
Dude, not all of them could make it though, because I know you saw the invitation. I know you heard the ad.
Was backtracking hard.
Oh, was there an invite there?
I was running advertisements on your show, Matt. I mean, I bought time. I bought advertising time.
You bought
on
advertising
station.
time.
I would have called you personally, but quite frankly, if I'd invited you personally, I'd have had to ask you to get a haircut if you were going to come.
So what the hell does that say about me?
Well, that says he never said that he was going to invite you personally. Well, thanks, Jack. I appreciate that. I appreciate the personal invitation.
No, I'm sorry.
Wait.
I'm sorry. I'm a horrible.
So Pamela
horrible
Fur-
friend.
You had far more important people to be there.
Well, Pamela
Fur was there, so which means
always, as always, did an amazing job singing the national anthem.
Stop with your excuses.
Okay, yeah.
You passed us over for a ginger, sir, and that will not be forgiven.
But
she
she's
does
such a
sing
great singer.
she does sing a
she's
better-
an amazing singer.
she does sing a
such
better
great
national
job.
anthem
Yeah,
than we
very
do.
much so.
I mean, at least than I do. Belle, if you want to give it a go next year.
Not up against Pamela, no.
No. Well, I mean, we forgive her for being a redhead because of her ability to sing the national anthem, because it brings tears to your eyes. I hope you had a great event.
Yeah, we did.
I
It was
announced
a lot of
that
fun.
I was going to pick on you.
Well, and
Really gonna
I
do
deserve
that.
it. I really do. If you could vote for me, I'd probably have made that call. But you live in Wilson County. I tried to get you to move to Williamson County, but
Well,
you
it's too
wouldn't do it.
expensive over there.
Oh, come on. If you'd have bought something 3 years ago, it'd probably doubled in value by now.
I watched a show. E watches this show called Lottery Dream Home. It's on like HGTV. I don't know where it is. But this guy was in Nashville. And she's like, oh, Nashville. And I go in, and it's in 2017. And this couple is looking at this house in Thompson Station for $320,000. It's like a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath house for $320,000.
Nice.
Oh, it was 2017. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, if I could find anything, that house is probably triple in price now.
Oh, it's no telling.
It's insane.
It really.
It's a good problem to have.
It really is if you're a homeowner. Yeah.
Well, if you're already there, it's a bad problem to have if you're looking for property. So tell us about this Supreme Court situation. What's going on?
So you recall you had me on your show a couple of different times to talk about this. Back in 2023 in our legislative session, we passed legislation, first in the nation to pass legislation to ban transgender surgeries and hormone therapies and puberty blockers for minors as a treatment for gender dysphoria, gender confusion, whatever the term might be. We had big debate about it, a lot of conversation, ultimately passed that legislation overwhelmingly, has broad support in the state of Tennessee. As expected, we were sued. And over that legislation, there was a temporary injunction imposed by the federal district court. The Sixth Circuit, of course, we appealed that injunction. The Sixth Circuit came in, overturned that, and allowed our law to go into place. So the law we passed in 2023 is the law of Tennessee right now. Those surgeries on minors and prescription of those very harmful drugs is prohibited in the state of Tennessee. Since then, numerous other states have passed various versions of that legislation. Well, the plaintiffs in the case appealed the Sixth Circuit decision to the United States Supreme Court. We found out several months ago that they, in fact, granted cert and would take the case up. And, in fact, our case would be the lead case, along with the law that was passed by the state of Kentucky. So very exciting. It's not often that you sponsor and pass legislation as a state legislator, especially something of this significance that's going to be heard before the United States Supreme Court. We heard earlier this week, I think on Monday, that oral arguments on that case will be held on December 4th. So I'm excited. I'm a little apprehensive. I feel good. If you go and read the Sixth Circuit opinion upholding our law and the rationale and refuting the claims from the plaintiffs of why they believe that the law is unconstitutional, the Sixth Circuit laid out an amazing opinion written by Judge Sutton, who's a judge on the Sixth Circuit. And so we're going to the Supreme Court and see what they have to say about it.
All right, so to catch everyone up and really to catch myself up as I try to remember the particulars of the law. It really is just an age restriction, right?
Absolutely.
That these procedures are not to be done on individuals in the state of Tennessee under a certain age.
That's correct. Under the age of 18, which is the age of majority. And I recognize some people say your mind's not fully developed even at 18. But that's when we do recognize you as an adult. So it's very consistent with that. You turn 18, you want to go have body parts removed or something rebuilt.
Tattoo, whatever.
Exactly. You can do that. But I don't believe, and I think the vast majority of Tennesseans agree, that if you're 14, 15, 16 years old, you're going through a tough time, you're suffering from what they refer to as gender dysphoria, that you should be making decisions that result in irreparable damage to your body. this can't be undone. When you have something cut off, it can't be undone. These drugs, these hormone therapies and puberty blockers, they cause irreparable harm in the development of the human body. So we just believe, number one, we love these kids. We don't hate them. We want them to get care. We want them to get mental health treatment, get them through this difficult time. Many children who go through this, by the time they reach adulthood, they grow out of it, and they're able to go on and lead normal lives in the body that God gave them.
Well, and every argument that the political left primarily makes in support of these minor surgeries or these puberty blockers, every single one of these arguments has been refuted, right? They made the argument that our position, Jack, your position and my position leads to teenage suicides. It's not true.
No.
They make the argument that, well, there are certain things, if we've determined that someone is gender dysphoric at an age under the age of 18, sometimes it is very necessary to go ahead and do certain things before they achieve full puberty or whatever. Well, I've read scientific journals that indicate that even if that is the case, even if I grant you that this person is legitimately gender dysphoric, the manner in which we go through gender transition needs you to go through puberty first in order to achieve the gender transition. I mean, if we're talking about sex change surgeries,
Sure.
you have to go through puberty in order to do the sex change surgery that these folks claim that they want these kids. So none of the arguments hold water that they're making. What are the plaintiffs saying? What did they argue before the Sixth Circuit?
So one of their chief arguments is under the 14th Amendment, equal protection, if you will, that we are singling out people because they are transgender. And that's not the case. This law is equally applied to all minors in the state of Tennessee. We're not singling any particular group out, whatever the reasoning is that they may want to alter their body. And so the Sixth Circuit agreed with us in terms of refuting that argument. They make the argument with regards to parental rights. You've known me long enough, and I know you. We are fierce defenders of parental rights and education and how you raise your kids and that type of thing. But the state does have a compelling interest to step in certain instances, and we do it across the board. You mentioned getting a tattoo. Even if your parents want you to be able to go into the 7-Eleven and buy a 6-pack of beer, we don't let you do that. We don't let you buy cigarettes. So this is very consistent with the law in the state of Tennessee. And another thing the Sixth Circuit laid out, which I found very compelling, is that this is new. This is This is a perfect example of where states and legislators and our constituents, we should have a debate. The medical community should study this. But let's put the brakes on doing anything that can't be undone. That's what it always comes back to. If they were doing something that you could wake up when you're 22 and say, I changed my mind, let's undo this. But you can't undo removal of a body part.
And age restriction and age standards they're embedded in the Constitution of the United States of America, indicating that our founding fathers understood that if you are under 25 years of age, that you are not mature enough to serve in the House of Representatives. Sure. If you're under 30 years of age, you're not mature enough to serve in the United States Senate. So they understood that level of wisdom that comes with maturity. Secondarily, I'll give you a more affirmative example. Of course, we don't let kids buy alcohol or consume alcohol legally, even if their parents want them to. If a parent went to the United States military and said, my 15-year-old wants to be a U.S. Marine, my 15-year-old is going to be, and I want him to join right now, we're going to say no.
That's right.
I mean, but those age restrictions are there for a generalized purpose. Does that mean that some people don't mature faster than others? Sure, but you have to have those age standards in order to have a civilized society.
Another element of this that's very important to me, certainly the policy is important. It's why I sponsored this. William Lamberth, the House Majority Leader, did an amazing job in the House carrying this legislation as well. Passed overwhelmingly. I believe in the policy. I believe in protecting kids from this. But it's also a 10th Amendment issue. It's a state sovereignty issue. And as a state legislator, that's very important to me. And again, I'm grateful to the Supreme Court. I have no idea how they're going to rule. But when I read the Sixth Circuit opinion defending our law and our right to pass a law, and other states that have passed similar laws, there's bills, different decisions. But the reason the Supreme Court has it is the Eighth Circuit rendered a different decision. I think the 11th Circuit, the Ninth Circuit. So there are different decision. So that's why the Supreme Court ultimately took it up. But they're using my bill, the one we passed here in Tennessee, as the test case.
Can you hang around for a few minutes
Sure.
longer? 52 after the hour. Have to take a quick time out. Senator Jack Johnson is with us, Senate Majority Leader and architect of the legislation going before the United States Supreme Court that we're discussing. We'll ask Jack his feelings on the presidential election and some other things going on as well when we return on Super Talk. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and for the entire month of October, I've been telling you about this incredible opportunity with Craft Body Scan. They've celebrated 7 incredible years helping people like you take control of their health through CT scan technology, and this technology is amazing. I've done a full body scan with Craft Body Scan, could not recommend them enough, and right now, you can get that full body scan at $700 off their price. It's an amazing opportunity not just for huge savings, but to see your health clearly. A full body scan can help you spot potential health risks early, even before you feel it, before you become symptomatic. It's fast. It's non-invasive. Takes about 5 or 8 minutes. You don't take your clothes off or anything. The scan goes to key areas like your chest, your stomach area, your pelvis. They evaluate heart and lung health, bone density, and so much more. Your health is obviously worth seeing clearly. Let's see it clearly with Craft Body Scan. $700 off this life-changing full body scan. Go to craftbodyscan.com or call 615-436-1000, 436-1000. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. And, I was just talking with Jack Johnson. I'll include him in my commercial here. I was just talking to Jack about conservative values and advancing conservative causes. And I want to talk to you for a moment about how you can do that as well in your own personal life. If you have a credit card, do you know where your interest rate money is going? I mean, it's a simple question, right? Like you pay the credit card company an interest rate for the benefit of using the card, and then they take that money, and oftentimes these big companies give that money to woke candidates or woke causes. We don't want this in our lives. We want Coin, which is the conservatives' credit card. So if you hold a credit card, I would encourage you to investigate Coin and see where they put their money. They put their money where their mouth is when it comes to conservatism. Coin is the conservatives' credit card. You earn cash back while advancing conservative futures. Apply now at coin.com. Spell it correctly now. Coin is spelled COIGN.com. Coin.com. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details.
One o'clock on the dot this Thursday afternoon. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now, about 75 miles southeast of Nashville, News Channel 5 says there is a multi-fatality crash. It has closed State Road 1 in Warren County, and this is after a pursuit. TDOT says detours are in place at Oak Tree Drive and Airport Road. And this afternoon in California, Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon set to announce his decision on the Menendez brothers' possible resentencing. This comes nearly 35 years after siblings Eric and Lyle murdered their millionaire parents at their Beverly Hills home. Alex Stone is in L.A.
DA George Gascon here in the building behind me announced that he is going to be announcing his decision on how he wants this case to move forward. He could recommend that they be resentenced, that they get less time in prison, maybe even be let out of prison. It'll be his recommendation, but it won't be his final word. Gascon can make that recommendation to a court. It'll have to go to a court, to a judge, to decide what is going to go on.
The average rate on a 30-year mortgage in the U.S. rose again this week, reaching its highest level in nearly 3 months. Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says it went to 6.54% from 6.44% last week, potentially adding hundreds of dollars a month in costs for borrowers. Not good for prospective home buyers as it reduces their purchasing power at a time when home prices remain near record highs despite a housing market slump dating back to 2022. And the largest employment snapshot has economists scratching their heads. Jim Ryan says the experts expecting initial claims for unemployment benefits to tick upward last week.
In the wake of 2 major hurricanes and 6 weeks into a strike at Boeing, employment analysts were anticipating a rise in jobless claims. Instead, the number fell by about 15,000 to 227,000 applications altogether. In fact, the largest declines came in Florida and North Carolina, 2 states hard hit by tropical storms in the past month.
Election 2024, police say about 20 ballots were damaged after someone set fire to a Postal Service mailbox in Phoenix this morning. A police spokesperson said the postal inspector took possession of the damaged ballots and mail. Voters who used that mailbox in the last 36 hours were directed to go online to check the status of their ballots and what to do if they believe they were impacted. And former President Trump pledging to fire the man who's been prosecuting him in the classified documents and federal election interference cases. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
The former president calls special counsel Jack Smith a scoundrel, and Donald Trump told radio host Hugh Hewitt he'd fire Smith as one of his first official acts.
I would fire him within 2 seconds.
Trump had praise for federal judge Eileen Cannon, who dismissed the classified documents case in Florida, accepting Trump's argument that Smith's appointment was unconstitutional. It's a ruling Smith is appealing.
She's a brilliant judge, by the way.
ABC News reported exclusively this week that Cannon's name is on a list of contenders to be Attorney General if Trump is elected.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. United Structural Systems is on my mind and maybe should be on yours. Let's talk about this. I don't wish this on anyone listening to me, but the bottom line is this. That if you live in a home long enough, you're probably going to experience some level of foundation issue that needs to be checked out by an expert. Whether it's walls bowing, whether it's doors sticking or windows sticking, maybe it's waterproofing issues like, musty or moldy smells in your basement or crawl space. With the dry nature that we've had over the last weeks and maybe even months, some of the drought that's happening, that can cause cracks and fissures near the foundation, which, once it rains, can cause water issues in your home. Let USS handle this. USS has been committed to you for the last 30 years. In Middle Tennessee, they are your go-to resource for all things foundation, all things waterproofing, and all things concrete leveling. Give them a call today and ask them how they can assist you. Get them out to your property and let's do an examination. The number is 615-488-7855, 488-7855, or USSTN.com. Super Talk 99.7 WT, and I hear the music. Bell, I was in a conversation with Jack Johnson about next year's barbecue and boots, and what do we call what is it called, Jack?
Well, I thought it was a great name. I came up with it. It's the worst name in the world for an event because no one can get it right. Boots and jeans, barbecue and beans, but everybody gets it wrong, and I've come to accept it and embrace it, and it's totally fine.
Hey, Matt, just so you know, that's not an inappropriate conversation to have on the air.
Oh no, I get it. No, I don't like airing our dirty laundry on the air like that though. I like doing that in the background.
Speaking of dirty laundry, is Bell wearing what he wore yesterday?
That's what I hear, and I'm just going to stay out of the room.
Trust me, I will go home and take a shower tonight and put on clean clothes when I come in tomorrow.
So Bell, was it worth it? I'm not asking what it was. I'm just asking, was it worth it?
Of course.
Okay.
I don't do it if it ain't worth it.
Thursday edition of the Matt Murphy Show continues with Senator Jack Johnson on the air with us, talking about legislation passed by the Tennessee General Assembly that is now going through the legal process and going up to the Supreme Court. Was this, I imagine, when you passed this legislation, that this was an expectation?
It's certainly that it would get litigated. Yeah, definitely. And this is a conversation we have all the time. It's part of governing. And when we're contemplating legislation, we're drafting legislation, we're working with our attorneys to try to address some issue or problem, it's something I think a lot of folks will just pass the bill. Well, we have to pass a bill that if we think it's going to get challenged, it's got to be defensible. So it's kind of a fairly lengthy process with the Attorney General and our attorneys to make sure if it's something we feel like we're going to get sued over, that it will withstand judicial scrutiny. Luckily, this bill did.
And you feel who will argue it? Will it be Scarametti or?
I don't know. It will certainly be our Attorney General, Jonathan Scarametti, who's done it, and he and his team have done an amazing job defending this and many other bills as well. But this one, obviously, very personal to me and many of my colleagues in the General Assembly, and they've done a yeoman's job defending it. And so I'm not sure who will actually stand at the lectern and address the court, but I'm confident it'll be someone who will do a great job.
Hey, Matt, maybe we loan Jay Sinclair to him because Jay's got a 1,000% batting record.
Yeah, he does have a good batting average at the U.S. Supreme Court. I don't know that he knows transgender law in the way that he knows employment law.
I have every faith in Jay Sinclair.
I have a lot of faith in him, too.
I'm a big fan. Hear him all the time on your show. Brilliant guy.
Will there be a moment of personal privilege where maybe Jack Johnson makes an appearance in the United States Supreme Court?
So we did inquire. Leader Lamberth and I did inquire about the chances.
Because you don't get those chances very often.
It's our bill that's being argued, and so it is a big deal. It's something very passionate about. But we were told, don't get your hopes up. I think it's very difficult to get into the actual courtroom. Not saying it's an impossibility. I will be there. I am absolutely planning on being in Washington on December 4th, at a minimum outside on the steps of the Supreme Court, because I want to be there for that historic moment.
I was in Washington. I encourage anyone that is invested and involved in the politics of the United States of America and our government, if you get the opportunity to be in Washington, D.C., around a time where there's something big being argued, please do yourself a favor and go outside and just be outside of the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
I was in D.C. when the Kavanaugh hearings were going on.
Oh, wow.
And it is insane. But it is an insane example of the liberties and freedoms that we believe in the United States of America, for people to express themselves freely and openly about things that are going on with their government.
How great is it? And I do plan to be there, and I fully expect there to be a lot of people there who don't like the bill that we passed.
Sure.
And they will be expressing their First Amendment rights. And great. I mean, that's a beautiful thing about America, that we can go up. And I've told the story several times. Early in my grassroots activist political involvement, long before I ever ran for office, my wife and I were protesters. We protested the passage of a state income tax in Tennessee in 99, 2000, 2001.
And now you got a commercial. You're on a commercial as a result.
Talking about it, and and I'm honored that they asked me to do that. And so I was at the Capitol as a protester. Now I'm at the Capitol being protested. So and I celebrate all of it, coming full circle. Absolutely, as long as you do it in a civil manner.
Speaking of taxes and speaking of tax increase proposals, Davidson County has a transit tax proposal. Does Jack Johnson have a position on this?
I do not. I do not live in Davidson County. I encourage folks to do the research and their homework, but I don't think it'd be appropriate probably for me to weigh in on that.
I mean, would this not in some fashion, and I'm not pressing you on an answer here, but I'm just genuinely curious, do you feel like this would in some way affect your county of Williamson? I mean, because obviously, if you're in, if I don't necessarily believe that this will do what they say that it's going to do, but even if it did, I mean, it could potentially impact the ability to have bus transit or whatever in Williamson County.
Absolutely. And obviously, I've got thousands of constituents who commute to Nashville every day to go to work or go to school or shop or whatever the case might be. And talking about an increase in their sales tax, I've got a lot of constituents who go to Nashville and will be paying that tax increase. But it is a local government matter, and I just try to be very careful about those things weighing in on something. If it's truly a local decision, it'll be on the ballot, and the voters of Davidson County can make that decision.
Well, we'll see. It's interesting. I mean, I'm as I had Freddie O'Connell on the show with me last week, I said to him, and this is where I feel that a lot of politicians, in just one man's opinion, they make mistakes. That if you are upfront and forthcoming, and I'm not saying that Jack Johnson has a comment on any of this, but if you're upfront and forthcoming about every aspect of a tax increase proposal, and you allow the intelligence of the voters to weigh in and weigh the benefits versus the cost, you can get a fair vote. When you seem shady on the front end about the cost of the matter or what it exactly will do, and where eminent domain comes in with transit hubs in this example, I mean, that oftentimes sets things off in the wrong fashion. I mean, I wasn't around for the income tax proposal, but didn't the governor at the time, was it Haslam?
No, Don Sundquist.
Don Sundquist. Did he not flip-flop on the issue?
He did. And
see, this is where
yeah, exactly.
You start there, it's tough.
He campaigned for his first term, and one of the leading pieces of his platform and running for governor was no state income tax. He was elected in 94. My wife and I worked hard on his campaign as volunteers, and we're very happy he got elected, ran for re-election in 1998, maintained that position of no state income tax, and then 2 years into his second term, he comes out and proposes a state income tax. So, yeah, not good. And Marsha Blackburn did lead the effort, along with May Beavers and Diane Black and others. But
I think our own Phil Valentine was a big component.
That's where, in fact, it was Phil Valentine broadcasting on a Saturday morning from Legislative Plaza to get my wife and me down there with our small daughter. She had just been born, and we were down there.
Get down there, honking your horns.
Honking the horns and protesting, yeah.
Was that a part of, I'm just curious, was that a part of what ultimately led you into this side of politics and running for
It
elected
accelerated
service?
it. Yeah, this was in 2000, I think, 2001. And my wife and I, we met at a Young Republican event in 1992, and we were both passionate about that. Or I say, my wife was passionate about politics, and I was passionate about her. And so, but we both shared a love for it, and just got very involved, working on campaigns, knocking on doors, trying to get. And keep in mind, this is back when Democrats controlled everything in this state.
Right.
We had Democratic governors, Democrat supermajorities in the legislature, 2 2 Democrat United States senators. So we were fighting from behind. We were we'd win a race, lose a race, and slowly but surely. And then the income tax battle, it certainly accelerated my interest. And then it was, I guess, 5 years later that I ran.
What do you think's happening in 12 days, Jack?
I think it's going to be a good day, but I almost am hesitant to say that because I don't want to get my hopes up.
I don't do well with this.
Yeah,
I don't do well feeling this good this far out.
Well, and momentum is so critically important. We've seen times in the past where one candidate or the other really had a great deal of momentum, but it was too soon, and then they kind of leveled off, and then they started to fall back. I feel like President Trump, the momentum is with him at this time, and let's hope it continues. And keep in mind, 30 million people have already voted.
Right.
So that momentum, it's not just peaking on Election Day. It's got to be leading up to Election Day. So I'm cautiously optimistic. That's well put it.
I have to continuously remind myself, I feel like I'm relatively young. I mean, that's relative nowadays because I'm 51, but, a long time I did this where everything built to Election Day, and Election Day was the day.
Yep.
Now I have to reset my thinking and recognize that a lot of people that I'm talking to right now have already voted.
Yeah, that's right.
And I don't like that system, but it's the system we have. And what I'm encouraged by, some of the numbers that we're seeing come back, I'm encouraged that Republicans have more embraced the system. They don't like it, and we cannot like it, and it might not be the way that we did it 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
But it's the way we're doing it right now. We've got to play the game by the rules that are in front of us.
One of the smartest things I think we did is engage in ballot harvesting. 4 years ago, we said, that's awful. This is, we can't do it. Well, if it's legal in a state, it's not legal in Tennessee, by the way.
Right.
We do not allow ballot harvesting. We have very limited mail-in voting. I think Tennessee does elections in a very, very good manner. But in those states that do allow it, play by the rules. Don't play by the rules as you wish they were. You got to play by the rules as they are.
And that includes. But what's the definition of ballot harvesting?
It's going into communities and, knocking doors and saying, hey, have you gotten your mail-in ballot? Have you filled it out? If you want to fill it out, I'll go ahead and take that to the mailbox for you. That's basically
you're basically harvesting, and it's really only applicable with these heavy mail-out systems in some of these other states. But Democrats did it very effectively, and I'm really proud of President Trump encouraging people to vote early. I mean, in some of these states where it could come down to 1 or 2 percentage points, yes, a bad storm could happen. You could have a snowstorm, or you could have a bad weather
God
event,
forbid you
or
get sick.
Something else. You get sick, or your child's sick, or something. Just go vote. Just go get it and bank it and get it in the system. And you're seeing that all over the country, including here in Tennessee.
Do you appreciate? There are some in our audience. I mean, Chris Hand, our fellow co-host on Super Talk 99.7 WT, and he and I have these conversations, and he's younger than me. But he has concern about, I worry about, giving ne'er-do-wells a looky-loo into the system and a looky-loo into how things are going. And I understand those concerns. I mean, we hear about them all the time. I'm sure you're familiar with them as well.
Oh, absolutely. And we've had conversations. I have great faith and confidence in the people that run our elections in Tennessee. I don't think that's an issue. I think if you vote early, your ballot is secret. They do not look at it. That is a strict law. They'd be in gross violation of the law and subject to a hefty prison term if they did. The early voting is counted late on Election Day, and it's released that evening. If you early vote in Tennessee, your vote is safe. It will be protected. I can't speak as much to other states, but I have great confidence in our system here in Tennessee.
Well, I have confidence in the voters of Pennsylvania that they believe Kamala Harris when she tells them that she wants to ban fracking.
They just ought to listen to her, right? Just listen to the words she has said repeatedly.
Well, I mean, and I thought Trump said it so well several weeks ago. He was sitting at a town hall with Sean Hannity, and he said, look, and I know it's not in his nature to say it this way, but I wish he would say it more to people who might be on the fence. It's like, look, you don't have to like me. You don't have to appreciate the way that I do my business. But you have to vote for me. And you have to vote for me because if you work in the oil or gas industry, if you work in the coal mines, she's going to kill you.
Yeah.
She's going to destroy you.
She's coming after your job.
Right? I mean, you can like her all you want. She's still going to destroy your job and destroy your economic. Well, that's true. We probably did fall out of a coconut tree. Talk to me about, I mean, what do you know about East Tennessee? I know that you've spoken with many representatives over there in that area. Are we doing okay in the aftermath of Helene? It's only been a month.
It's been a month, and I've been up there. I toured up there with the governor a couple of weeks ago. He was nice enough to invite me and others to go up and tour the area. And Matt, I'm telling you, I was here for the 2010 flood. Obviously, I had a business that flooded. It was bad. I mean, it was bad here in Middle Tennessee. But there in Irwin and Carter County, where we're standing on an interstate just a few yards from where an entire interstate bridge is gone. It's gone. And from where we were standing on that interstate looking down at the river, which had more or less gone back down to normal levels, and it's probably 50 feet down there from where we're standing on the interstate, and that water was 20 feet over our head. I mean, the massive amount. Butch Ely, who's commissioner of TDOT, said that the engineers said at the peak of the flooding there were 1.2 million gallons a second coming through that valley. And you have to be there, kind of understand where you see the mountains, and you can see where the water would all kind of converge down where we were standing. Niagara Falls is 700,000 gallons a second.
Oh, wow.
Almost twice as much water as goes overnight. Was coming through this beautiful valley there, and then the factories are just destroyed and the homes. It's going to be a long time. But I can tell you, as Governor Lee says this so well, we've seen unbelievable heartache and destruction and suffering, but we've seen unbelievable resilience and hope and the spirit of Tennesseans coming out and helping neighbors. I think our team of folks have done a great job. The local folks there have too. Never going to get everything perfect, but we've responded aggressively and quickly, and we're going to be with them. We're not going to forget about this once it's not in the news anymore, because it's going to be years to rebuild over there, but we will rebuild.
I've tried to make a point to talk to the people of East Tennessee. I've got a connection over near Asheville in Fairview, North Carolina. We're talking to those folks as well, because you don't want to forget them. No. And it's easy in the news cycle that we live in.
Yeah, you move on.
To move on, especially when you live in an area that hasn't been impacted. I thought Governor Lee said it really well. You know, I remember the April 27th, 2011 tornado outbreak that happened all across the Southeast. 252 people died in Alabama alone. And I long said in the aftermath of that Alabama wasn't defined by April 27th. It was defined by the days and weeks and months and years after.
Very much
I feel the same way about the state of Tennessee. I thought Governor Bill Lee said it well when a reporter asked him, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, you know, do you feel like that you properly planned for this? And Governor Lee said, how do you plan for something that's never happened before?
That's never happened. It's a once in a millennium event, once in 1,000 years.
Everything had to be exactly right to get that storm, that system in place in that particular region of the world in a way where it would do what it did.
Right. And because I was standing with Governor Lee when he said that. That was at that press event on that interstate. He may have said it subsequently as well.
Sure.
But I was standing there one of the times he said that, and I thought he said it very well. But he will tell you, and I will confirm that we will learn from it. And we need to always be thinking about how we can better respond to some of these events and provide the resources necessary for people to get back on their feet. So we'll continue to learn, but it's going to be a while, but we're going to get East Tennessee back better than ever.
Jack, good to talk with you as always. Best of luck at the Supreme Court level. I know we'll have multiple updates leading up to the arguments happening in December. Obviously, we're rooting for a successful outcome at the Supreme Court. I know that you're confident. I'm confident as well. You know,
cautiously
confident, but confident nonetheless. And we'll have you back on.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Come to Wilson. By the way, I'd like to extend an official invitation.
Personal?
We're doing a lot of advertising. We're talking about it a lot, but you might not hear them. An official invitation to our event out in Wilson County. I know you got a lot of things going on. I know you might swing over to Marcia's thing in Cool Springs or whatever.
Probably, yeah.
But we'll be there at the Wilson County Fairgrounds.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge.
But isn't the VIP sold out? I mean, could you get me in? I mean, can you pull any string? Do you know anyone? I mean, could you?
The VIP,
I'm not asking for anything
the
free.
VIP is sold out. You know, VIP stands for very important people, not very important politicians.
Good. Point taken. I don't qualify. That's
Come on out and see us, Jack.
All right, thanks.
There's Senator Jack Johnson, 24 after the hour on Super Talk. Friends, U.S. Pest wants you to know that just because the cooler conditions are here, that does not mean that we are out of bug and pest season. As a matter of fact, this is kind of, we're getting to the high water mark of roach infestation and rodent infestation. You know, the rodents and the mice, they look for the warm areas when the winter time comes. And in the fall and winter, they're going to look for that area inside of your home. And they're little communists. I mean, I'm sorry to say it. I mean, they might be as cute as can be, but they're communists. They come into your home that you've worked hard for, that you've paid for, and they just want to glom off the system. They want to eat your food, your crumbs, and they want to enjoy your warmth. Let's not have this happen. Let's go to U.S. Pest. Good American company. J.K. and Erica Brister are fine Americans, fine Tennesseans, and they do well at what they do, and that is protect you from pests. USPest.com or 590-1260. 590-1260 for our friends at U.S. Pest.
Nashville's a step closer to using about 108 homeless pods they've had in storage for years. We'll tell you about it at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, I'm looking. Thank you, Ken Weaver, by the way. Ken Weaver coming up in just a couple of minutes. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show. We continue until 3. We hand off to Brian Wilson at that time. Don't forget, tomorrow I'm in for Brian Wilson. I'm in from 3 until 7. Brian is off tomorrow. So join me there. And I think
damn vacation day for you.
Yeah, that's what everybody will say as we're in here. And I think I know who is subbing in for this radio show.
Cameron?
Hold on, I'm going to tell you. No, it's not Cameron. It's we've not heard him before. Paul was telling me the other day. Hold on, dadgummit. Get with the program, Murphy. It is Chad Benson, who is out of Arizona, if I'm not mistaken.
Keith Olberson?
That is Keith Oberson. What?
Lawrence O'Donnell.
I just said Chad Benson.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah. You'll meet him tomorrow, I think.
I've never heard of him. Where's he's out of? You said Arizona?
I think Phoenix. But he's been doing this for some time, and he's going to stop by and say hello to all of the folks of Nashville, Tennessee, from noon until 3, and I'll be on from 3 until 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I love interacting with you on the Super Text line. Jason writes in and says, Bell will be off tomorrow. He has a trip planned to the health department.
I love the little emoji at the end.
What is it, a little shot? What is that? I can't tell what that is. Is that a cat?
Cat.
That's a cat. Oh, I'll just leave that right there where the goats can graze on it. I just looked at the sample ballot, Matt, and want to know what happens if someone votes for RFK Jr. Well, I mean, here in the state of Tennessee, not much. Donald Trump will continue to march toward victory on Election Day. But please do not vote for RFK Jr. if you are voting in places like Pennsylvania or Georgia or Wisconsin or Michigan or Arizona or Nevada or North Carolina. That's a no-go. 3475 says, I voted early just in case I couldn't make it because of work. I was going to vote in the primary because of work, and I could not make it. Use it or lose it. That's what I say. No, it's absolutely the right mentality to have. And, folks, I'm not against, and several of you think that I am, and I'm not. Right. For example, 4037, Matt, you don't like voting early. Let me clear this up for you. Do you want President Trump to be president again? I think you do. So are you promised tomorrow? No, I agree. I hate the other side getting into that. That might get them to show up or might not. But bottom line is this. No, two things can be true at the same time. I don't like the way we're doing this. And I think it will lead to bad things. It will lead to further shenanigans and potential fraud. But it is the way that we're doing it. And so I advocate early voting. I believe you need to get out and you need to vote early to make sure that you vote. Just get your vote in. I understand that that has some peril to it, but it is far more perilous to wait until Election Day when the possibility exists that 1% of those planning on going to vote can't. It's time for Ken Weaver's newscast on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. But you killed a puppy. Puppy died.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, the city's a step closer to housing the homeless in pods, a one-person structure which can be used for transitioning folks from homelessness. They've been in storage for years, but yesterday the Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance sent Metro Nashville officials a memo saying you've met the standards and they can be used for short-term housing. News Channel 5 says Nashville bought 108 of these structures with COVID relief money in 2021 with the intent of providing emergency shelter in the event of a natural disaster or other emergency. Then they realized they could be used as transitional housing for the homeless. No word on when they will be. This afternoon, Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon set to announce his decision on the Menendez brothers' possible resentencing. It comes nearly 35 years after siblings Eric and Lyle murdered their millionaire parents at their Beverly Hills home.
This could come down to new evidence in the case. It may show that there was molestation going on against the two Menendez brothers before they killed their parents. They don't argue against that they killed their parents. They admit that they did, but were they in fear for their life? The other argument could be that they have been model prisoners, that they have been rehabilitated, something that celebrities have said and TikTok campaigns have said.
Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says the rate on a 30-year loan rose to 6.54% from 6.44% last week, its highest level in nearly 3 months. And it's a deal worth more than $3 billion. Sherry Preston with more on the wrestling world's acquisition of bull riding.
Cody told me this bull looks like so much fun to ride.
WWE parent company TKO snatching up Endeavor Group, owner of Professional Bull Riders, for $3.25 billion. The PBR Bull Riding League has more than 200 annual live events, more than 1 million hardcore fans, and reaches more than 285 million households.
That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
I have seen with my own eyeballs the Glock 19 that the Glock store is giving away at our election night watch party. It is worth the price of admission to the watch party. Oh, wait, the price of admission is $0.00. That's right. It's free to you, free to me. And it is free to enter the big giveaway for the Glock store, Glock 19. It is a custom-made Glock that has Trump on the side. I mean, on one side of the slide, it says Trump. On the handle, it's got a photograph of the man himself, the 45th and soon-to-be 47th president of the United States of America. On the other side, an American eagle and the shield below the eagle. I mean, it's a fabulous-looking custom-made gun, and it's being given away, grand prize, for the Glock Store's giveaway that they will be conducting on the night of the election. Now, I said it wrong the last time around. I said, we'll be giving those away that night. Actually, first, second, and third prizes will be announced the next day. So you don't have to be present to win. Those prizes will be announced the next day. Third prize, one of those incredible tactical hydration mugs made from gun-grade material. I have one of those. Absolutely love it. Second prize, several gun range sessions. What a great gift for the family. For those of you who want to get better and more proficient at your gun, at your Second Amendment rights, you can do that at the Glock store with their shooting ranges, or shooting rooms, I should say, shoot270.com. And then, of course, grand prize, the Glock 19. Go to glockstore.com for more information, and we'll see you election night. Thank you to the Glock store. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. If you'd like to get involved and get in on the phone lines, you may do so right now, 615-737-9986. I'd love to get the temperature of the room. How you feeling? How you feeling with 12 days to go? Are you planning on coming to our election night watch party? We would love to see you. Wilson County Fairgrounds, the Ag Center building. It's the big Tennessee building, right? If you've ever been there, it's the room that you go into, and there's a big map of the state of Tennessee on the floor. It's a huge room. We'll have food available for purchase, drink available for purchase. I would love to tell you about the VIP tickets that are still available, but we've sold out. So the VIP section is full. Sad to report, but, well, for you, if you've not had it, glad to report for those who have decided to purchase those. But we'll be there for everybody. We'll be broadcasting live throughout the course of the evening. Dan Mandis, Brian Wilson, Matt Murphy, Chris Hand, a number of others. Ken Weaver will be back in in the newsroom here at home base. I think Jay Harper will be out at Marsha Blackburn's event in Cool Springs, and he'll be calling in and offering reports from there and interviewing folks over there. So it's going to be a big evening all the way around. We would love to see you. Hopefully, 7311, will Ken be there? I just said Ken will be back here at home base. He has duties as newsman director of Super Talk 99.7 WTN here at home base. So he'll be at home base. Ken will not be able to be on site, but the rest of us will be there. The hail, the gang's all there. That is coming up election night, November 5th. We'd love to see you. Action starts really at 3 o'clock with Brian Wilson's show, and then we'll go on through the evening. Now, there was a discussion this morning, and I'm curious where you are on this. I want to open it up on the phone lines. I was watching and listening to the Gang of Four this morning on Nashville's Morning News. That's where Joan Jones and Johnny B and Chris Hand gang up on Dan Mandis and pick on him. And after the balling out discussion, did you hear that this morning, by the way, Bill? Did you catch that? No, you were sleeping in at some place, not your home. Whatever.
No, that's not true. I was up at 7, and we were on the couch talking until about 9.
You bait me. You're baiting me into,
correct.
And I'm not going to take the bait. I'm not doing it. I'm not taking the bait.
You eventually will. It's just a matter of time.
Well, you're probably right. So Dan Mandis and Joan Jones and Johnny B and Chris Hand were doing the Gang of Four. Let me ask Ken Weaver, because I hear him back there in the newsroom. Ken?
Yes, sir.
If I told you that I was watching a football game.
Yes, sir.
And those boys were balling out, would you know what I was discussing?
Yes.
Okay. So Chris Hand was talking about one of his youngsters playing in a Little League game last night, and they won. The Padres won. Congratulations to them.
Congratulations.
And Chris Hand said, oh, man, those kids were balling out.
Yeah.
And the rest of the Gang of Four, Johnny B included, Joan Jones included, Dan Mandis, they looked at Chris like he had just eaten a bug. I was like, what are you talking about?
All of them?
All of them. And I was not surprised at all about Dan Mandis, because I love Dan to death, but some of these cultural, some of these, the phrases that the youngsters are using these days kind of go over his head. But I was a little surprised at Johnny and Joan.
But Johnny B's a big Tide fan.
I mean, he knows
about balling out.
He knows about balling out. They've been balling out for 17 years.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not balling out this year, but yeah, I mean, they have been. I don't know. I was surprised. But on the morning show, they cast their predictions about when we would know about the election. In other words, when we would know who won the election. And maybe I just don't get it. Maybe I'm being naive and a Pollyanna. But Dan said that they offered their official predictions. And I think Chris Hand said sometime on Wednesday. And I forget what Joan and Johnny said. But Dan said that we would not know until November 14th.
November 14th.
That's 9 days.
After. Okay.
And so there's I guess a suggestion embedded in this that there will be some sort of controversy in some state. When do you think, Ken? I mean, you've done this a long time. I'm not asking you to make a political opinion on it. When do you feel like functionally we'll know? That night, next day? What do you think? Or is it hard to say?
Brother Matt, it's hard to say, because after the last one, I don't know.
But that's the thing. We knew the next day that Joe Biden was declared the victor. The only election that I can recall in my lifetime that took a lengthy amount of time, more than, say, 36 hours, was the 2000 election.
Oh, I guess I'm getting your question mixed up. I'm thinking about all the challenges and that sort of thing.
No, not legal challenges. I'm talking about when will we have a declared winner?
Well, barring any power outages or anything like that, I think we could probably, like you said, the next day.
You know, I feel like, and I could be completely off the mark here, and it is unlike me. It is not in my nature to feel this confident about any of this. So I'm very uncomfortable saying it. I feel like we're going to know by midnight. I feel like the vote in Pennsylvania is going to go such that Pennsylvania will be declared around midnight on election night, and that will lead us to understand that Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. And I could be completely off the mark. It could be a day. It could be a week. I don't know. I just don't know what would have to happen for it to not get decided, or at least a winner be declared for 9 days.
Power outages and plumbing problems.
Plumbing. Oh, man. Oh, man. That Georgia thing. Oh, we had a plumbing issue. We had a toilet back up, so we had to grab all of these extra ballots and bring them into the counting room. Mm-hmm. 615-737-9986. Bell, just a little note here. I can't access any of my phones because it says I'm not connected. I don't know why it would say that, but that's what it says. I'm just letting you know. 615-737-WWT. And in the meantime, Kamala Harris was making a final argument last evening on the set of a town hall at CNN. And she did not account for, well, she did not acquit herself very well. Let's put it that way. I have here an assembled collection of her worst moments of the evening. The 7 worst moments of the night for Kamala Harris. Most of you probably did not bother to watch this. I watched the majority of it. I missed the first 10 or so minutes. It was as bad as it was bad. Did she get softballs? Sure. Did she offer stock answers as opposed to actually talking to people? Absolutely. Kamala Harris did not seem to have the ability to talk to people directly. She over-relied on her stump speech, her typical talking points that she gives in interviews, her typical talking points that she gives on the stump on a daily basis. You know, that stump speech that she can't actually remember if she doesn't have the teleprompter helping her? There was a lot of that going on. She didn't actually talk to people. And when she did talk to people, she used language that I believe is untoward for a presidential candidate. She was asked directly if she thought Donald Trump was a fascist, and she said, yes, I do. I do. A fascist? Well, one, who cares what you think what Donald Trump is? Who cares? Donald Trump is to the American people the answer to many of our issues. He is not a fascist. But I don't even know what you mean when you say that he's a fascist. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, what? Let's put it this way. I would love to hear from a liberal or a Harris supporter. I won't even say liberal. That can explain to me functionally, even if you believe he's a fascist. Let me concede to you. Let's concede, for the sake of this conversation, that Donald Trump mentally wants to be a fascist. He wants to be an authoritarian. Let's concede that Donald Trump, let's go into the mind of a liberal. It's a messy place. Inside of the mind of a liberal, they think Donald Trump wants to be a dictator. He wants to hold power. He's an authoritarian. And if he's elected, it will be the last election that we ever have because he'll never relinquish power again, they say. How does he do that? Like literally, how does he do that? Donald Trump wants to be an authoritarian. He wants to be a dictator. He gets elected. He's inaugurated in January. What does Donald Trump do to become a dictator? I'll wait. No, go ahead and tell me. Now, all of you liberals out there that, he wants to be an authoritarian, he's going to be a dictator, there'll never be another election again. Just tell me what he does. How does he manage that? The military? Give me a break. Our system has set up a series of checks and balances to ensure that any sitting president of the United States of America does not have the ability to overtake the military and use it for his own devices. Next, congressional approval? Well, Matt, What if he gets a Republican Congress? What if he gets a Republican House and a Republican Senate? And then he'll make them vote his own way. You honestly believe that Marsha Blackburn or Bill Hagerty or any of these other Republicans are going to vote to give power from the Congress to the executive branch of government, defying the Constitution of the United States of America in the process? Even if they did, it would be challenged in court. And even if they did, it would be overturned in court. So he has to take over the courts too. There is no functional way for any of this to happen. So even if and I don't agree that you're right because he gave up power once before. But think about this for a moment. Even if I grant you that you're right, that Donald Trump wants to be a dictator, the Constitution and the American system of government is set up to prevent it. It's all a bunch of fear-mongering. It's all a bunch of nonsense. Nonsense because they don't have a policy to run on. They don't have a platform to run on. We'll get to your calls, if the phones work, in just a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy. You know, we talk about conservatism quite a bit on the show, and if you're worried or wondering if your money is going to the proper places, to organizations that believe as you believe, wonder no longer. When it comes to credit cards, I have your answer. It's Coin. You can get back in the fight right now with Coin, the conservatives' credit card. Instead of funneling millions of dollars to the left like other cards, Coin advances conservative values and charity. Earn cash back while fighting back. Apply now at coin.com. Let's spell it COIGN.com. COIGN.com. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details.
Got a crash on the North Loop downtown. This is going to be 65 northbound right there at I-24. And Nashville gets the green light to use pods to house the homeless. That's coming up along with other top stories at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Can't wait for that, but I guess we'll have 2 minutes to go before we'll hear from Ken Weaver in the newsroom and those headlines. That's coming up in mere moments. You on the phones right now. Dave is in Liberty next on the Murphy Show on Super Talk. Hey, Dave.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Long-time listener, just calling in.
Glad you did. Thank you.
Well, the thing that gets me, is the Epstein. I was all hush-hush. They wouldn't release none of the flight logs, and they didn't want to say anything about who was up there. But now they want to tie Donnie Trump to it. So he was affiliated with Epstein. Well, you want to say that, then go ahead and release the flight logs. Let's see who was all up there on Pedo Island, and we'll take a tally between Democrats and Republicans.
I'm ready to go. Let's do it. Let's release all of that, and let's get to the bottom of Diddy and who all was a part of those nasty parties where it is reported that underage people were a part of sexual activity. Let's do it. Let's do it all.
Absolutely. I mean, they want to just cover it all up and hush, and then when it's to their vantage point, say we'll throw it out there, because most of the people they don't listen. They watch Fox News or well, not so much Fox News, but they watch CNN and MSNBC, and it's wholly one-sided.
If the history books write it appropriately, and thank you for the call, Dave, they will write the cover-up involving Jeffrey Epstein because of the rich and powerful people involved in Pedo Island. It will be the greatest cover-up potentially in the history of the world. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 1 more hour to go. Stand by. Here comes the news.
It's 2 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, the city's a step closer to being allowed to use pod shelters to house homeless. Nashville used COVID relief money back in 2021 to buy 108 of them for emergencies and natural disasters. Then they realized they could be used for transitioning people from homelessness. A memo from state regulators was received by Metro yesterday, giving them the green light. The company that makes the pods, Pallet Shelters, telling News Channel 5 most people stay in them for 3 to 6 months. No word yet off if or when Nashville will use these pods this way. Election 2024, Vice President Kamala Harris campaigning in Philadelphia today.
I'm going to bring back up as president that bipartisan border security bill and make sure that it is brought to my desk so I can sign it into law. The biggest issue that we have right now is that Donald Trump has stood in the way of what would have been a proven part of the solution.
And former President Trump heads west today.
Today, Donald Trump campaigns in Arizona and Nevada, 2 states with 17 electoral votes between them, where registered Republicans now outnumber Democrats among those mailing or casting early votes. Tomorrow, Trump heads to Texas for a taping of the popular Joe Rogan podcast. Then he's on to Michigan and Pennsylvania, and on Sunday, he'll be in his hometown of New York for a rally at Madison Square Garden.
The Halloween section of a Target store on Crossings Boulevard in Spring Hill got real scary last night. Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac says 2 shoppers got into a fight. One of them pulled a gun and fired a shot in the direction of the other.
Spring Hill police say that the 2 women involved did not know each other prior to that fight. The suspect has been identified as a 24-year-old from Colombia, and investigators say that she is cooperating with this investigation. She is giving a statement to detectives.
No one was hurt, but it shook up a lot of people. Right now in Kentucky, thousands of businesses waiting to learn if they're going to be part of the medical marijuana introduction in the state. It's going to be legal January 1st, but a random drawing will determine who will be able to grow it and sell it. 30 licenses will be awarded in 11 different regions of the state. More than 4,000 applicants paid $5,000 to be considered for this. Some owners not too optimistic they'll be chosen, while the Office of Medical Cannabis Kentucky says it gives everyone a fair shot.
It takes the selection process out of our hands. It puts them in the hands of an independent third party.
The optimism isn't very high, but if you're in this business, this is what you're going for. You just have to hope that you're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, the Office of Medical Cannabis says limiting the number of growers and dispensaries helps ensure the market remains stable. The first drawing is on Monday. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Dr. Poss runs the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center, and he has a brand new partner with Dr. Brian McLaughlin. Dr. McLaughlin comes in with the same exceptional credentials and experience as Dr. Poss, and he's ready, willing, and able, and has been serving Middle Tennessee exceptionally, as has Dr. Poss for so many years. 2 locations to serve you. One's in Brentwood, the other in Murfreesboro. Let's talk about this. So for those of you who have been diagnosed with sleep apnea, or if you think you have sleep apnea, you need to get a sleep test done. And if you do have sleep apnea, there is a device approved by the FDA. I use it on a nightly basis. Let me tell you, I have energy galore during the radio show from noon until 3, and it is largely in part thanks to Dr. Poss, Dr. McLaughlin, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. My jaw gently rests forward. I get the open airwaves. I get the ability to breathe at night. I don't wake up throughout the course of the night like people with sleep apnea do. As fall's approaching, most of you perhaps have met your insurance deductible. Now is the right time to schedule an appointment with Dr. Poss and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Go see them. Give a call, or better yet, go online to drposs.com, drposs.com, and tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the final hour of the Matt Murphy Show this Thursday, October 24th edition. Exciting, exciting. So much going on. You know what I'm doing tomorrow morning, Bell? Bell K behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as possible. He's not on Super Talk TV. We just established that with his new girlfriend. We did. What? Ken Weaver's back in the newsroom, by the way. We did we not?
What are you doing in the morning?
Who's the lucky gal, Brother Bilal?
Oh. What are we doing in the morning? What is this show related?
Well, you were either with a girl last night or you were in jail. You're wearing the same clothes. Which is it, Bell?
Maybe it was both.
I mean, what you do in your own time is your own business.
That is true, sir, and I would remind you to remember that.
Sometimes folks choose to do things that are in violation of the laws of man and whatever. I mean,
hey, no victim, no crime.
That's what they tell me. I'm going to go. I'll be out in Dixon Tennessee. And I'm jumping on, Cameron Sexton, the Speaker of the House, has this bus, and Marsha Blackburn's been on the bus, and Governor Bill Lee's going to be on the bus tomorrow. And I've been invited by some of the power players that be to ride the bus from Dixon, I think, to Clarksville. Right. So that we can, get a kind of a conversation going on with the governor. And I don't know if Marsha will be on the bus tomorrow. I think Cameron will be. They are touring the entire state of Tennessee in advance of Election Day, November 5th.
How long of a ride is that? Like 2.5, 3 hours from Dixon to Clarksville?
So I see where they're leaving Dixon at 9 in the morning, and they are planning to arrive at their location outside of Clarksville an hour later.
Oh, wow.
I think that's right.
Because Clarksville's like 45 minutes from Nashville, isn't it? 40 minutes?
I think it's kind of the same.
Oh, okay.
I think it's virtually the same. It's the tip of the triangle. If you look at Dixon and Nashville on the map, and the tip of the triangle is Clarksville, I think that's about the way it goes.
So are they going to leave you in Clarksville? Or
they actually told me that I could get a ride back, that they would have a car there that would take me back to my truck in Dixon.
Governor Lee, we need to have a talk, please, sir.
Why? Because a helicopter?
No, because they're not leaving you in Clarksville.
You're going the other way. I thought you were going to demand that I get a helicopter back to the show. No, you're going the other way. Just leave him up there.
Just leave him up there.
Sure. But luckily, I'm able to do that because I'm subbing in for Brian tomorrow. These two things kind of came together where I'm in for Brian tomorrow, and I mentioned Chad Benson will be introduced to the audience. Mm-hmm. He'll be filling in for me tomorrow. He's a host out of Arizona, and he'll be here from noon until 3, and we're looking forward to that. Looking forward to meeting him. I've never met him. So tomorrow morning I'll be doing that, and I might be able to get some audio with Governor Lee talking about East Tennessee and the hurricane relief efforts that are ongoing over there, the rest of the state, and we'll talk to him about some of his priorities leading into this regular session of the legislature.
Is the tour kind of a campaign junket, and you're just joining in to talk to him about issues, or is this something else?
No, I mean, I think that's a fair way to put it, that it's a bus tour. It is based on political campaigning around the state. I mean, believe it or not, there are some that are in pretty tight races around the state of Tennessee in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. I don't know that many of the Senate races are tied outside of Heidi Campbell's. We had Wyatt Rampey on yesterday. But it's just an opportunity for people to get out and meet their elected officials. The stop number 1's in Dixon. It's at the GOTV rally, whatever that means. What does GOTV mean, you think?
Game of Thrones video?
I should know. Get out of the vote.
Get out there you go. Game of Thrones vote.
Get out the Game of Thrones vote. And if you're over in Dixon right now and you're thinking, well, I don't really care about meeting the governor of the state of Tennessee, but that Matt Murphy, I'd like to give him a piece of my mind. We'll be at Holland Park starting at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. That is in Dixon. And then we're jumping on the bus at 9 and traveling to Veterans Plaza in Clarksville, Tennessee. They say that stop number 2 is officially Montgomery. Is Montgomery a suburb of Clarksville?
Not that I've ever heard. It could be. I just don't know.
But the address is in Clarksville. So, let me look. That's interesting. I didn't realize that there was a Montgomery in Tennessee, if that's the case. But that's what it says on my little sheet here that they gave me. Montgomery. I don't know why. Oh, Montgomery County. That's what.
Oh, that makes more sense.
That makes more sense. Montgomery County. Okay. So get out the vote rally. Holland Park, Dixon, 8 to 9 tomorrow morning, and Veterans Plaza in Clarksville, 10 to 11. So there's an hour of travel time there. So would love to see you, and looking forward to the opportunity to sit down and talk with the governor and other elected officials who will be on the bus tomorrow. And once again, I'm in for Brian Wilson tomorrow afternoon. 12 after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You on the phones, upcoming in mere seconds. Do we want to do – well, I'm going to give it to Ken Weaver and Belle Kay to decide what we do next. I can either go over some of the Kamala Harris answers at the town hall, or I can offer you the Babylon Bee and their take on 9 ways that Trump is exactly like Adolf Hitler.
I would actually – my preference – I don't know about you, Kim, but my preference is the Babylon Bee into Kamala.
Okay.
Being that I'm busy, the Babylon Bee.
There you go, Ken Weaver. I love it. The Babylon Bee, for most of you, you know what the Babylon Bee is. For those who do not, it is a hilariously satirical website offering pointed commentary in a very tongue-in-cheek manner on the political activities of the day. And given that Kamala Harris and John Kelly and every Democrat in America want you to believe that Donald Trump is Adolf Hitler, they have offered 9 ways that Donald Trump is exactly like Adolf Hitler, according to the Babylon Bee. They write, it's time to confront the reality that the media has been trying to warn you about for nearly a decade. Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler are exactly the same. If you still deny the blatantly obvious evidence, maybe you'll be swayed by cold, hard facts. The Babylon Bee has put together the following list of startling similarities between Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler to help you see the light. Number 1, and most people don't know this, Mein Kampf is German for art of the deal. Most people don't know that. But it's true. Some people might try to tell you that that's not the correct translation, but that's just revisionist history. You translate Mein Kampf and it translates directly to art of the deal. That's number 1. Number 2, both Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler were called Hitler by their political opponents. I mean, this is not a coincidence, folks. Both of them were called Hitler. Number 3, don't make me laugh. If you rearrange the letters in Trump while eliminating the U and the M and the P and adding an H, an I, an L, and an E, it spells Hitler. And things like this don't just happen by chance, people. Open your eyes to the reality. Once again, if you rearrange the letters in Trump, eliminate the U, the M, and the P, add an H, an I, an L, and an E, you get Hitler. Number 4, both briefly worked at McDonald's. Hitler reportedly loved serving up 9-piece chicken McNuggets. Sorry. I hope this is funny to other people because it's funny to me. This is the Babylon Bee writing about 9 ways that Hitler and Donald Trump are exactly the same because Democrats have been trying to tell us this for years. Number 5, they have the exact same mustache, but Trump's mustache is blonde, so you can't see it. Number 6, World War II and January 6th, basically the same. If you don't believe J6 was that bad, you can subscribe to the Babylon Bee and watch a documentary, and they'll prove it to you. Babylon Bee's selling their documentary J6, which is pretty good, I hear. Number 7, Adolf Hitler was a painter. Donald Trump at one time did pottery in a commercial. This is no accident. Number 8, both had cameos in major feature films. Donald Trump in Home Alone 2. Adolf Hitler in the Blitzkrieg of Poland. Basically the same.
What was the box office on that?
Basically the same. I bet the Blitzkrieg of Poland outdid at Home Alone 2. Although I don't know. A lot of people liked that movie. Did you like that movie? The first one?
Yeah,
it was the same joke over and over again.
Yes.
I didn't care for it. And finally, number 9, Adolf Hitler also got 2 scoops of ice cream when journalists only got 1. It's a true mark of a genocidal fascist. The Democrats have been saying for 8 years now that Trump is like Hitler, that he really is Hitler. But now we know, as we have the facts in front of us, and you can no longer foolishly fail to listen. That's the Babylon Bee offering you the 9 ways that Donald Trump is exactly like Adolf Hitler. Let's talk to John, who's in Lebanon. Hey, John, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I'm great, John.
Hey, I've got just something for you to think about. All this farmland that's being bought from China and Bill Gates and Canada and everything else. Think about it. All the Chinese is right here in the United States could be forced by the Chinese government in China, or I'm going to kill your family. They're going to come over here and they're going to start farming all that farmland. They're going to start selling it all to the American people at dirt cheap prices, which will cause all of our American farmers to go under. Then the next step they'll do is they'll jack up all the prices to where nobody in the United States can afford to buy produce. And Bill Gates, in his weird mind, we're overpopulated in the United States, he would go right along with it. And as weak-minded as the president of Canada is, he'd go right along with it. Just my point.
Well, thank you for calling, and thank you for making the point, John. There is a tremendous problem with allowing any affiliation with the Chinese government to buy any land in the United States of America. And some suggest that it's a little more difficult than simply cutting off the spigot. I would suggest cutting off the spigot. Simply do not allow Chinese-owned companies or any company affiliated with Chinese-owned companies to buy land anywhere in the United States of America. How hard is this? Now, some would say, well, it's a little trickier when Chinese nationals get involved and patriated individuals originally from China. I understand that. But any business that is affiliated with China or any entity that is in any way connected with the government of China should not be permitted to buy land, any land in the United States of America. That is my take on that issue. As promised, I will get to the 7 worst moments of Kamala Harris's town hall last night. Hope you enjoyed the Babylon Bee. Some did, some did not. Mixed feelings on the Super Text line. It's 219 on Super Talk. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief, located in Franklin. They want to see you. Are you tired of living in pain? I know I was. When I got to Nashville, I was suffering from pain in my lower back and in my neck area. If you feel like no one's really listening to you, did you know you have choices when it comes to your care? At the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief, they do things differently, and I've witnessed it. I'm a testimony to it because I'm a patient of Dr. Gill's. They take time to listen, to understand, and create personalized solutions just for you. What would you do if your pain was gone? Have you thought about that? Have you lived with it long enough where you don't remember a life without dealing with some level of pain? If that's the case, let's get to the Dr. Gill Center and see what they can do. If you're popping pills, you don't need to do that. Don't take a pill. Call Dr. Gill. If you're taking shots to block the pain, obviously I understand you need some relief, but there is a better way of accomplishing this task. It's the Dr. Gill Center. Call today and schedule that appointment like so many others have done, like I've done. 615-882-4838, 882-4838, or visit the website, callmepainfree.com, callmepainfree.com. Let's work together and make your pain-free life a reality with the Dr. Gill Center.
That's a great
Ballots burned in Arizona. Details coming up at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Ken Weaver. Ballots burned. Oh, my goodness. 24 after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back to your calls momentarily. But as promised, the 7 worst moments of the town hall, I suffered through this thing. It was like a comedy show. If I think of it that way, it amuses me. What frightens me is that this person is within the margin of error to become the next president of the United States of America. Kamala Harris is just horrible at this. It's just bad. So you could make an argument that Donald Trump has bad ideas for the future of this country, but I would argue with you that Kamala Harris has no ideas. No ideas. I don't know of a policy proposal that she's presented that hasn't been lifted from Trump. And she can't tell you a single thing that she would do differently than Joe Biden. And Joe Biden's years in the White House have been disastrous. But here, well, it's true. Here are the 7 worst moments from Kamala Harris's town hall last night. Kamala Harris was asked what her biggest weakness is. You know, there were actual questions asked by actual people in the actual audience. Now, I imagine that many of these were vetted. All of them were vetted prior to the event. I have no idea if she had awareness of them prior to the event. Makes it worse if she did. One way or the other, she was not able to answer the questions. Here's number 7.
What weaknesses do you bring to the table, and how do you plan to overcome them while you're in office?
That's a great question, Joe.
By the way, she does not think that that's a great question. She's not even looking at the guy. That's a great question, Joe. She doesn't think it's a great question. You can tell in the way she answers it.
Plan to overcome them while you're in office.
That's a great question, Joe. Well, I am certainly not perfect, so let's start there. And
Why is that so funny? I promise I'll try not to interrupt this much moving forward, but she giggles. Like, what? It's so off-putting.
Question, Joe. Well, I am certainly not perfect, so let's start there. And I think that perhaps a weakness, some would say, but I actually think it's a strength, is I really do value having a team of very smart people around me who bring to my decision-making process different perspectives. My team will tell you, I am constantly saying, let's kick the tire on that. Let's kick the tires on it.
Is there something you...
Okay, so I was slipping in a number. So she was asked, what is her weakness? What is her greatest weakness? And her answer was, I listen to a lot of different people as to how to solve problems, and I consider that a strength. So she was asked, what is her weakness? And her answer was, well, let me tell you about one of my strengths. It's not an answer. Well, that is what it is. Number 6, Anderson Cooper. Yeah,
is there something you can point to in your life, political life or in your life in the last 4 years, that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes, and they range from, you know.
Willie Brown? Anybody? Willie Brown? No?
If you've ever parented a child, you know you make lots of mistakes, too.
I guess it is true that Kamala Harris has parented a child. I don't think she's had a child. She has parented a child.
In my role as vice president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well.
I wish you guys could see. If you missed it live, I'll post a series of these. These are, and I'll give credit. Colin Rugg of Trending Politics came up with this list, and I think it's a good one, so I want to give credit where credit is due. I'll repost it on the X machine. Follow me at Matt Murphy Show. That's at Matt Murphy Show. It is difficult to understand how confused and discombobulated this woman is without seeing her facial expressions. She was asked one of the most basic political questions that you could possibly ask. Tell me about something that has happened in your capacity as vice president over the last 4 years that you consider a mistake. I'm going to reset this, and I promise I won't interrupt it. It is amazing that she cannot come up with an answer. She's desperate for an answer and never comes up with one.
Let's kick the tires on it. Is there something you can point to in your life, political life or in your life in the last 4 years, that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes, and they range from, you know, if you've ever parented a child, you know you make lots of mistakes too. In my role as vice president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
So you've been.
That made no sense. I'm just serious.
You have a way, and you're exactly right. I cannot put it any better. That made no sense. I mean, she was asked, can you think of a mistake that you made over the past? Oh, yeah, I can think of plenty of them. Let me tell you about, it's a mistake to not think about these things. What? It made no sense. I got the top 5 coming up for you in just a moment. Right now, Ken Weaver's newscast on Super Talk. Ken Weaver will make sense. I promise you that. Kamala Harris, not so much. Here's Ken Weaver in the newsroom.
.2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and all of a sudden we've got problems in traffic. We've got an injury crash, 65 northbound. This is at I-24 and 65, just north of downtown on the North Loop. And right now in Nashville, the city is closer to using pods to house the homeless. Metro has about 108 of them. They've been in storage since 2021 when they were bought using COVID relief money. At the time, city officials wanted to use them for natural disasters and other emergencies. They later realized they could be used to help transition the homeless. Metro got a memo from state regulators yesterday stating the pods are compliant with state guidelines, so they can be used to house people. We'll tell you what Nashville decides. Election 2024, get a load of what happened in Arizona.
A number of election ballots in Phoenix, Arizona were damaged after the Phoenix Fire Department says a U.S. Postal Service mailbox was set on fire this morning by an unknown person. It's believed only 5 ballots were destroyed, but the Secretary of State's office thinks it could have been up to 20. The Secretary of State says it was a deliberate act of vandalism, and police are conducting a criminal investigation with postal inspectors.
Yeah, it's Zoreen Shaw, who says the Arizona Secretary of State says county drop boxes across the state have fire suppression equipment, unlike the U.S. Postal Service mailboxes. Here in Tennessee, the latest numbers from the Tennessee Secretary of State's office show that 820,587 Tennesseans have voted early in the first 5 days of voting, but that's about 10% less than in 2020. And on the day that Elizabeth Francis was born, William Howard Taft was president, and there were only 200,000 cars on the nation's roads. 115 years later, says Jim Ryan, Miss Francis has died as the oldest person in the United States.
And the 3rd oldest on Earth, according to LongeviQuest, a database of the world's longest living people. Elizabeth Francis' granddaughter, Ethel Harrison, says her grandmother never smoked or drank and insisted on fresh food.
She did have a garden. A lot of her food out of her garden she would cook herself.
Francis' daughter, 96-year-old Dorothy Williams, says her mom had a more fundamental secret to long life and happiness.
She always spread love.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
You know, you're funding America's future, and sadly, in some ways, it's probably not the future that you intend for yourself or for your children. Most major credit cards, sadly, funnel money, millions of dollars in money, to liberal causes and to woke candidates, hoping that you don't notice. Let's take a stand and get the woke out of your wallet, shall we? Coin is the conservative's credit card. You earn cash back while advancing a conservative future. Apply now at coin.com. Let's spell it COIGN.com. Coin.com. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details. Hello, friends. Men of Valor is a wonderful organization that I'm so proud to be able to talk to you about on occasions like this. Men of Valor is an organization that believes in the rehabilitation of men who have found themselves in the prison system. Men of Valor does this by discipling to these men, by teaching them about the Word of God and allowing the Word of God help them set those captives free and making our community a better safe place in the process. Here's the deal. 90% of the men who are currently in prison will get out at some point or another. What type of men do you want getting out? Do you want men that will return to a life of crime? Because sadly, 50% probably will within 3 years. Or do you want men of valor involved in these men's lives where they reduce that rate to less than 10%? Less than 10% of the graduates of the Men of Valor program return to prison. Why? Because of the power of God and because of the power of God's people. But they need help. They need your support. Donate today by going to movministry.com. Either donate from a financial standpoint or donate your time to be a job partner, Bible study teacher, or mentor. Go to movministry.com and be sure to tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Men of Valor. All right, in the process of the 7 lowlights from last night's town hall, Donald Trump was doing a huge rally over in Georgia, big-time rally in Georgia, a lot of energy at that rally. There was RFK Jr. there, a lot of different political figures and celebrities taking the stage with Donald J. Trump. Trump is expected to tomorrow go on the Joe Rogan show. He'll be in Texas, and he's going to stop by Joe Rogan's Austin, Texas studios, and they'll tape that tomorrow. I don't know when that will be released, but looking forward to that over the weekend.
Wouldn't you imagine it'd be before the election, though?
Yes, I imagine that they will.
Because we don't have much time, and if they're going to get any value out of that, it needs to be before that happens.
No, I think if he does tape on that I don't know what his turnaround. I don't know. I can't imagine there's a lot of turnaround on it.
No, because they don't do a ton of editing,
yeah. Right? I mean, maybe they lightly edit, but I mean, you sit down, you talk with them for a couple of hours, and then they roll it. They roll it out. So I bet you if he does it tomorrow, it's out by the weekend.
I would think you're
maybe
right.
Monday by the latest,
Yeah.
but in plenty of time for people to get a glimpse of Donald Trump in that type of situation. In the meantime, Kamala Harris got to answer questions from Anderson Cooper and others on a stage last night in Pennsylvania. We've gone through the 2 of the 7 lowlights of that event. Number 5, Kamala Harris doesn't know what to say after Anderson Cooper asks her why she hasn't done any of her ideas while vice president of the United States. It just makes sense that he would ask this question. You're VP now. What's the deal?
You've been in the White House for 4 years. You were vice president, not the president. But why wasn't any of that done for the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done, that haven't been done, but need to be done. Thank you.
Y'all get that one? And I'm going to let you listen to these twice because I think it's important. Anderson Cooper, why haven't you done any of these things while you're vice president? Listen to her answer again and feel yourself getting dumber.
To answer a question.
You've been in the White House for 4 years. You were vice president, not the president. But why wasn't any of that done for the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done, that haven't been done, but need to be done.
Everybody follow that? Why haven't you done these things as vice president? I'm pointing out things that need to be done that haven't been done. Why haven't you done them? Well, there's a lot to do. I mean, my goodness gracious. Then she was asked this question by a member of the audience, a fellow by the name of Eric.
Thank you, Eric. And you're absolutely right. You know it. I know it. I think most Americans know it. Price of groceries is still too high. Well, I may not be quick to have the...
That's a little quick shot there. My apologies for the sloppy editing. The question was, what's the deal with inflation? And she admitted that inflation was too high. She was then asked a question about policy. And she had this to say about policy. This is pretty good.
But I think most Americans know it. Price of groceries is still too high. Well, I may not be quick to have the answer as soon as you ask it about a specific policy issue sometimes because I'm going to want to research it. I'm going to want to study it. I'm kind of a nerd sometimes, I confess.
2020.
So she admits while calling herself a nerd that she can't answer questions from the audience. Sometimes I don't have the answers that you want me to have. Why? Because I'm a nerd. And I have to look it up. Well, she can't answer the questions because she doesn't have a basic understanding of the issues.
If that was problematic, then Dan Mandis would never be able to answer a question. That's not a real excuse.
It's Bell K, everybody. Dan Mandis is also, last I checked, not running for president of the United States, although I would vote for him before her.
Yeah, he's already won a McCraney. He doesn't need that.
That's exactly right.
2022, 2023, there were record border crossings. Your administration took hundreds of executive actions. It didn't stem the flow. Numbers kept going up. Finally, in 2024, just in June, 3 weeks before the first presidential debate with Joe Biden, you institute executive actions that had a dramatic impact, really shut down people crossing over. Why didn't your administration do that in 2022, 2023?
First of all, you're exactly right, Anderson. And as of today, we have cut the flow of immigration by over half. In fact, the numbers I saw most recently, illegal immigration
But if
is
it was
low.
that easy with that executive action, why not do it in 2022, 2023?
Because we were working with Congress and hoping that actually we could have a long-term fix to the problem instead of a short-term fix.
You couldn't have done one and both at the same time?
Well, here's the thing. We have to understand that ultimately this problem is going to be fixed through congressional action.
So Anderson Cooper walked his way into just destroying this woman. And it wasn't as if he wanted to. He did so by just being reasonably smart and asking simple questions in an effort to get answers. Why didn't you do something through executive action sooner? It was their very own executive actions that led to the border crisis that existed in 2021 and 2022. Anderson Cooper knows that, and so does Kamala Harris, or she's oblivious to it. Either way, this nonsense excuse-making about waiting for Congress to act, the bill that was ultimately presented before Congress did not have enough Democrats to get it passed. The bill that was presented before Congress had goodies and cookies involving Ukraine in it. And the bill that was before Congress involved hiring more people for the specific Border Patrol agents for the specific role of processing new asylum applications. It was in the language of the bill. That the hiring that they're talking about, we were going to hire more Border Patrol agents and we were going to get a handle on the southern border. They're lying. The bill was designed to hire more Border Patrol agents to process asylum claims, not to change the asylum process, but to process the claims. And then finally, the worst answer of all, Kamala Harris trying to make fun of Donald Trump's border wall, and Anderson Cooper has the temerity to fact check her.
Border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall.
So the question was, and once again, I'm a sloppy editor, the question was, is the border wall stupid? Because she said for years, and he backed the question up and said, you said for years that the border wall was stupid, that it was a ridiculous stunt. Well, is it?
Through congressional action.
Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall. So remember, Donald Trump said Mexico would pay for it? Come on, they didn't.
By the way, no one in the room reacts to her little joke. No one. And Donald Trump makes the argument, and I think it's a pretty good one, that because of the border wall and the inability for the Mexican people to export the second biggest resource that they have, and that's human beings that send money back to Mexico, they were able to reconstruct and redefine the terms of NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, and put America on better footing with regard to that renegotiation. Donald Trump argues that the way that Mexico paid for the wall is because America is on better footing with the NAFTA agreement. But more with Kamala.
But you're agreeing to a bill that would earmark $650 million to continue building that wall.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill. Let's just fix the problem.
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I am not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do much of anything. I just talked about that wall, right? We just talked about it. He didn't actually do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
I want to strengthen our border.
She won't even say it when confronted with it. The hypocrisy. And Anderson Cooper can't help but confront her. You called it stupid. You said it was asinine. You called it a stunt. Now you want to do it? Because we face the reality that what liberals want is unfettered access to the United States of America, regardless of what country you're coming from. Give me a break. Mr. Jimmy's in Shelbyville. Hey, Mr. Jimmy, how are you?
Getting over by the minute, younger by the day.
Well, I'm glad you called us, Mr. Jimmy. What's on your mind? How you doing?
Getting older by the minute.
Oh, well, I hear you.
I sold
He's the alternative.
I sold my house to my stepsons that moved from Oregon. All they did was buy my BA loan out and close the house, and we transferred it to them. they couldn't. The money they got for the house, they couldn't buy their musicians, the two sons, and the money they got from that house wouldn't buy them house. They would. Their friend is that Greg Lott up there in Juliana. That house got shot up. What I called about was I probably won't call no more. And when I croak, I'm getting close to it. One of my daughters may call the station and tell y'all that I'm dead. So don't put her on hold forever.
Mr. Jimmy, how old are you?
85.
85. Are you doing okay? Are you doing okay relatively? I mean, is there something going on that you would talk like this?
On the 31st, they're going to change my pacemaker and give me a new one. I got kidney problems and neuropathy from the knees down in both legs. I can't hardly walk. I really think I probably had a stroke. I don't know.
Mr. Jimmy, do you are you a faithful man?
Yes,
Do you pray?
Yeah.
Would you mind if I said a prayer for you?
Well, yeah, no. You can do that, but my mother lived to be 101, I think. All my sisters died. My mother had to see that. I was the only one. Everybody in my whole family is dead except for me and my stepkids. But I don't want to live to be no 100.
Wow.
It's bad enough being 85.
All right, you're out in Shelbyville. Are you out in Shelbyville? That's right.
Yes,
do
what?
Would you if I came to visit you before the 31st, would you let me?
Yes,
I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna put you on hold, and Belle's gonna get your number from you, Mr. Jimmy, and I'm gonna call you off air, and maybe we can set something up so I can come see you. Okay? I mean, if you'd want that, I'd love to. I'd love to sit down with you with a little more time. We oftentimes don't have time. You know, I've got so much going on this radio show, and I make you hold, and I hate doing that. But I want to talk with you a little more at length before you go in and have your pacemaker changed out, if I can. if you're willing.
That'd be all right.
Well, Mr. Jimmy, we love you. We love your stories. We love the fact that you're able to remember all these things. We love the history that you've had in Memphis and beyond, and I don't want to lose that right now, next week, next month, or ever. But I want to make sure that we get an opportunity to speak before you go in for this procedure. Okay?
Yeah.
We love you, buddy, and the audience loves you. Okay?
I was going to tell you that when I was in MP school at Fort Gordon, Georgia, that's in Augusta, the last year of Eisenhower's presidency, he came to play golf there in Augusta, and he only had 12 Secret Service with him, and so it wasn't enough to protect him. So they used a training platoon, my training platoon for security, and we lined the whole golf course with running.
Oh, I bet you did. Yeah, you got to protect the president.
That's how we protected him.
65 people?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Mr. Jimmy, real quick, do you have somebody to go to this procedure with you? You have somebody that'll be there with you, right?
Yeah, one of my stepsons, because they're going to put an upgrade in, and my stepson that paid off my loan is putting in a different kind of modem that monitors my heart to Vanderbilt.
Well, you've got. Listen, Miss Jimmy, listen to me now. Listen to me, because I've got to go. I've got to make way, and Brian's about to come on the radio. But I want you to hear something real quick.
Yeah.
You have way too many stories to tell me on the radio to be going anywhere. You hear me?
Well,
I need to hear every single one of your stories before you even think about leaving this earth and going to your
getting old is not easy.
Well, it beats Plan B.
I'd rather be in Plan B.
Well, don't say all that now. I'm going to put you on hold, Mr. Jimmy, and Belle's got to get your telephone number so I can call you off the air. It's 54 after the hour. That's going to do it for us. God love you, Mr. Jimmy, and I know I do. And we appreciate you and all of your stories.
I
we
love
need you
Mr.
around.
Jimmy.
That's right. Ken Weaver loves you, too.
I want to
and
hear them
Belle Kay
stories,
does,
too.
That's exactly right. That's going to do it for me. Brian Wilson's up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.